I am Theodore Roosevelt, born on October 27, 1858, in New York City, a sickly, asthmatic boy who would grow into a man of action, a reformer, a soldier, a statesman, and the 26th President of the United States. My life has been a whirlwind of passion, determination, and boundless energy. I lived by a creed I often shared with others. Far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those timid spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much. I came into the world the second child of Theodore Roosevelt Sr., a wealthy and philanthropic New Yorker, and Martha "Mittie" Bullock Roosevelt, a Southern belle with deep ties to Georgia. My childhood was one of contrasts. Though I was surrounded by privilege, I was frail and struggled with severe asthma. Many nights, I gasped for air, my father carrying me in his arms to help me breathe. My father, whom I idolized, instilled in me the belief that with hard work and determination, I could overcome any obstacle. When he told me, "You have the mind, but you have not the body. You must make your body," I took his words to heart. I began exercising relentlessly, lifting weights, boxing, hiking, and riding horseback to build my strength. Slowly, I transformed myself from a sickly boy into a robust and energetic young man. From an early age, I was fascinated by the natural world. I collected specimens, observed wildlife, and filled notebooks with sketches and notes. This passion for nature stayed with me throughout my life, guiding my later efforts in conservation. I attended Harvard University, where I studied history and science, graduating in 1880. While at Harvard, I met and fell deeply in love with Alice Hathaway Lee, a vibrant and beautiful woman. We married in 1880, shortly after my graduation, and I embarked on a brief but unremarkable stint at Columbia Law School. I quickly realized that law bored me, and I turned my attention to politics instead. In 1884, my world was shattered. On February 14th, I lost both my wife, Alice, and my beloved mother on the same day. Alice to kidney failure after giving birth to our daughter, and my mother to typhoid fever. I was devastated, recording in my journal a single, haunting sentence: "The light has gone out of my life." Seeking solace, I left New York and retreated to the Dakota Territory, where I immersed myself in the rugged life of a rancher. The Badlands were harsh and unforgiving, but they gave me a sense of purpose and healing. I hunted bison, wrangled cattle, and chased outlaws. My time in the West not only restored my spirit, but also deepened my love for the American wilderness. In 1886, I returned to New York and re-entered public life, marrying Edith Kermit Caro, a childhood friend who became my lifelong companion and confidant. Together, we raised 6 children: Alice, Theodore Jr., Kermit, Ethel, Archibald, and Quentin. In a lively, chaotic household filled with laughter, pets, and adventure. I served in various political roles, including as a reform-minded commissioner of the New York City Police Department and later as Assistant Secretary of the Navy under President William McKinley. In these positions, I earned a reputation as a fearless and energetic reformer, unafraid to challenge corruption and inefficiency. When the Spanish-American War broke out in 1898, I resigned from my position in the Navy to organize the 1st U.S. Volunteer Cavalry, better known as the Rough Riders. Leading this diverse group of cowboys, miners, and college athletes, I fought in the jungles of Cuba, where we achieved a dramatic victory at the Battle of San Juan Hill. The charge up that hill became a defining moment of my life, earning me national fame as a war hero. Returning from the war, I was elected governor of New York in 1898, where I focused on progressive reforms, including improved working conditions, tax fairness, and regulation of corporate monopolies. My success as governor brought me to the attention of the Republican Party, and in 1900, I was nominated as William McKinley's running mate. We won the election, and I assumed the largely ceremonial role of vice president. Fate, however, had other plans. In September 1901, President McKinley was assassinated, and at the age of 42, I became the youngest president in American history. As president, I viewed my role as that of a steward of the people, tasked with ensuring fairness and justice. My domestic policy, which I called the Square Deal, focused on three main objectives: regulating corporations, protecting consumers, and conserving natural resources. I took on powerful monopolies, earning the nickname Trust Buster for my efforts to break up large corporations that stifled competition. I championed landmark legislation, such as the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act, to protect the health and safety of ordinary Americans. Of all my achievements, I am perhaps most proud of my work in conservation. I believe that America's natural beauty and resources were a treasure that must be preserved for future generations. During my presidency, I set aside over 230 million acres of public land, including 5 national parks, 18 national monuments, and 150 national forests. I established the U.S. Forest Service and invited naturalists like John Muir to help shape my conservation policies. On the world stage, I pursued what I called a policy of speak softly and carry a big stick. I believed in maintaining a strong military to protect American interests while striving for diplomacy whenever possible. One of my greatest achievements in foreign policy was the construction of the Panama Canal, which linked the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, revolutionizing global trade and solidifying America's role as a world power. In 1906, I became the first sitting president to leave the United States when I traveled to Panama to inspect the canal's progress. I also brokered peace between Russia and Japan during the Russo-Japanese War, an achievement that earned me the Nobel Peace Prize in 1906, the first American to receive such an honor. After leaving office in 1909, I watched as my hand-picked successor, William Howard Taft, abandoned many of my progressive policies. Frustrated, I ran for president again in 1912 under the Progressive Party, popularly known as the Bull Moose Party. Though I lost the election to Woodrow Wilson, my campaign reshaped American politics, bringing progressive ideals to the forefront. In my later years, I explored the Amazon rainforest, nearly dying of fever and infection. I wrote prolifically, hunting, traveling, and spending time with my family. However, the greatest sorrow of my life came during World War I, when my youngest son, Quentin, was killed in combat. His death broke my heart. I passed away on January 6, 1919, at the age of 60. I died in my sleep, and my son Archie wrote, "The old lion is dead." I lived a life of relentless energy, striving always to make a difference. I was a reformer, a conservationist, a warrior, and a statesman. I sought to embody the best of what America could be: bold, just, and ever striving for greatness. My life was one of action, for as I often said, the only man who never makes a mistake is the man who never does anything.